Hello. Today I want to tell you a story about Charles Henry Oliphant, who is one of our ancestors. He's my great-grandfather, which means he's probably your great-great-grandfather, or maybe your great-great triple great-grandfather. Just a few stories about his childhood, because that's kind of fun. Well, to put a little bit of perspective on this, his mother, Susanna Young, married Richard Oliphant in 1825, and they had just one child. And that one child was Charles Henry Oliphant, who was born 14 November of 1825. But because Richard Oliphant was abusive, she left him and they got divorced. And one of my cousins actually found the divorce record, but we haven't been able to find it again. Well, his mother moved to Mandan, New York while he was just very young. He was born in 25. They moved when he was like 3 years old. And because her father, his mother's father, John Young, and brothers and sisters, including Brigham Young and Joseph Young and several others, were all living within 10 miles of Mandan, New York. And I want to tell you one story about Charles when he was 4 years old or 3 years old. When they moved to Mandan, he said his uncle B, Brigham Young, had his factory in Mandan making furniture. And the family, his mother and him and his brother, lived over Brigham Young's shop. And they got there by stairs that were outside. Well, while they were there in Mandan, he said, my mother met a man named William Stillson and married him. And he remembered how at 3 years old, he had been sleeping with his mother because it was such a tiny place. They had probably one bed. And when she got married, he had to take a different bed because she had gotten married. And he was very sad and wept bitterly because he had been separated from her. Well, this man, William Stillson, was an alcoholic. And just one story that illustrates how much that affected him. He was in debt to people for liquor. So one time his mother found a little teeny lost pig and brought it home. And when they moved, they took it with them, and they thought they would have a beautiful fat hog to add to their family's food. And they fed it, and it grew to be a big fat pig. But one day, all of those anticipations of having extra food were blasted when a rum seller came and took that pig away as payment for some of this stepfather's whiskey bills. He also said that William Stillson was very cruel and gave him terrible whippings for little teeny childish things at 3 and 4 years old. Well, they moved to Rochester, New York, and his mother, trying to raise a family, had no money for him and put him up with a Mr. Ezekiel Fox and Lucretia Fox. Well, Mr. Ezekiel Fox was a kind man, but Mrs. Fox was very unkind. And he said that finally, at 16 years old, he got tired of the abuse. And when one day Mrs. Fox hit him over the head with a mop, he defended himself by pushing her down and then made a clean run for the yard fence, cleared it at a jump, and he never returned there. But on the way down the road, he met Mr. Fox, and Mr. Fox, he told him the whole story. And Mr. Fox says, I'm amazed you didn't leave long ago, but I will find you a place to stay. And so he talked to his daughter. Mr. Fox talked to his daughter, Mrs. Frances Briggs, who had also been very friendly to Charles. And at 16 years old, he moved to her house, was given a new set of clothes, and she found him work as a clerk in a trading establishment. That went well for a while. And when he left that trading establishment work, he went to work in a printing office of an anti-slavery paper, and there met Frederick Douglas, the great anti-slavery man. Also there, 16, 17 years old, he was elected as the first president of the first Young Men Washington Temperance Society of the city of Rochester. So he lived quite an interesting life that gave him an opportunity to learn from his experiences, lots of abuse that happened to him, lots of experiences that he probably would have enjoyed not having, but he really had some interesting ones. And next time, I'd like to share with you a couple of his stories that came from his adulthood and what he did then. So I'll talk to you again soon.